Dry Mesa was the kind of dusty frontier town where every bootstep echoed like a secret and every whisper carried farther than the wind. A place where folks pretended not to notice trouble until it stood right in front of them. And the only thing quieter than its saloon at sunrise was the lonely cowboy who lived at the edge of town, Eli Mercer, a man so thin and soft-spoken that most people barely remembered he existed. He walked with a slight limp from an old injury no one cared enough to ask about and wore a frayed hat pulled so low that his eyes, sharp, watchful, patient, were almost always hidden. Yet even when hidden, those eyes missed nothing. Not the way townspeople looked past him as though he were made of smoke. Not the way ranchers pitied him for being too gentle for a land that respected only force. And certainly not the way outlaws made sport of mocking him whenever they rode through Dry Mesa looking for someone weak to bully. Everyone assumed Eli was harmless because he never raised his voice, never threw a punch, never reached for a gun. He simply fixed fences, swept stables, and lived quietly in a one-room shack he repaired himself. And if anyone wondered why he carried a small metal mirror tied to a rawhide string around his neck, always tucked under his shirt, they never asked, and Eli never told, because some stories were not meant for casual ears. That illusion of harmlessness shattered on a scorching morning when Harlan Pike and his two brothers thundered into town, their horses kicking up spirals of dust as the three outlaws scanned the street with the lazy cruelty of men who enjoyed breaking things that couldn't fight back. Harlan spotted Eli instantly, standing by the water trough, cleaning a bridle with the patience of someone who had survived far worse insults than the world could throw at him now. "Look here, boys," Harlan barked with a grin sharp enough to cut barbed wire. Dry Mesa's mighty warrior, and the entire street stiffened because everyone knew Harlan's gang had burned ranches, robbed stagecoaches, and left bodies in their wake. Yet Eli only looked up slowly, politely, with the same calmness he'd offer a thirsty horse. And that infuriated Harlan more than fear ever could. He stomped over, slapped the bridle out of Eli's hands, and shoved him backward into the trough, water splashing everywhere while the onlookers winced but stayed frozen to their spots, terrified of intervening. Eli surfaced, blinking water from his eyelashes, breathing quietly through his nose as if steadying something deep inside himself. And when he finally climbed out with slow, deliberate movements, Harlan expected trembling, begging, but instead Eli simply wiped his face with his sleeve and said in a low, even tone, "I'd suggest you stop now." The outlaws erupted in laughter, huge, roaring, mocking laughter that rolled down the street like thunder made of cruelty. And Harlan leaned in so close, Eli could smell the whiskey on his breath before sneering. "Or what, weakling? What army you got?" But Eli didn't answer. He only touched the small mirror under his shirt for the briefest second before turning and walking away, not because he was afraid but because he knew exactly what that insult meant and exactly what would come next once the signal reached the right eyes. That night, under a moon split like a silver coin in the sky, Eli climbed the ridge outside Dry Mesa and held the mirror toward a flickering campfire far across the canyon, flashing it 3 times with precision learned from men who communicated through the desert long before telegraphs existed. And miles away, 77 Apache warriors lifted their heads as one, recognizing the call of the man who had once saved the life of their chief's son and sworn loyalty bound not by blood but by honor. Their leader, Nash Redfire, a towering figure whose presence felt carved from the mountains themselves, rose slowly and said a single sentence in Apache that made every warrior stand. "Our brother needs us." By dawn, unseen shadows lined the cliffs above Dry Mesa, silent as ghosts, powerful as storms, watching, waiting, ready. And as the sleepy town went about its morning chores, unaware of the desert army perched above them like guardians carved from stone, Eli Mercer stepped out of his little shack with the calmness of a man who knew that by sundown, the whole world would discover that the quiet cowboy they had ignored for years was not alone, not weak, and not the man they thought he was, but a friend to 77. Apache warriors who would cross the desert for him without hesitation. If you're getting pulled into this story already, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next part, because what happens when Harlan Pike returns will shake dry Mesa like a storm that's been waiting years to break.